Have you ever wondered if the advice you're following for growing a YouTube channel that can make you money is wrong? Well, I believe a lot of it is, and it's holding you back. In fact, I know it is because in October 2021, I quit my business, I ignored most of it, and I started from scratch, and in 3 years generated over $4 million from YouTube using a new system that's not only worked for me, it's worked for countless others. So I'm excited because today I'm going to give you the exact blueprint to go from 0 followers to making $1 million on YouTube without worrying about your subscriber count, because it's not even a metric we're going to track. In this deep dive, you are going to discover exactly what to focus on and what awful, outdated advice to ignore so you can start getting results like you can see on screen right now. Okay, so you're probably wondering, will this actually work for me? So this will work for people who want to solve a problem with their channel. So they make educational videos that help people solve a problem of some sorts. If you're an entertainment channel, it's definitely not the right system. Feel free to watch it, but otherwise I would not do this. But how do I know it works? I wanted to test this system. So I got 40 YouTube creators in 2023 and I put them through it. And on average, they made $10,000 in their first 7 days of launch. But also, only 2 of them made under a couple of $1,000s. It was ranged a lot. Some people went past like 40,000. It was life-changing. It worked for Dimitri here. He went from like 5,000 subs to like 30K. But the most impressive thing was he did $70,000 in December 2024. Exceptional. It worked for Shrey here. Shrey went from under 1,000 subscribers to 200,000 in 15 weeks. And it worked for Simi here, who hit like 10,000 subscribers pretty quick. Then she launched a low-ticket product, was able to quit her job, then launched a higher-ticket program, and is now smashing it. The thing I love about this system is it's the most sustainable one. It enables you to get results quicker. It means you can do this without building a gigantic team, and you won't burn out. So I have such an overwhelming amount of proof this works. I'm actually very excited to share this thing with you. So with that in mind, what's the strategy we're going to use to grow your channel and business from 0 so you can make $1 million? Well, the first thing is we're not going to do affiliate, because affiliate basically means you're putting your fate in someone else's hands, and a company can just turn around and say, we're no longer going to give you commission and you can lose all that income. We're not going to do sponsors. They're great for entertainment channels, but for people who solve problems, and also everyone hates working with them. And then we're also not going to look at ad revenue, because many of you are going to be in niches that are far too small to ever really make it pay off and worth your while. It's a great little bonus. It's a great way to hire people to get you a leg up, but it's not the way to do this. I mean, in terms of growing the channel, well, what I'm going to do is night and day to what you often get told to do online. So let me ask you a question. If you wanted to catch some fish, what would you do? Sit with a rod and wait for one and come and bite your bait? Or would you get a giant net on a trawler and just dangle the thing off the shore and just scoop up thousands of fish? You do the latter, because the first one is slow, and it's not really going to build anything that meaningful, just catching one fish at a time. So the way that most people are taught to do YouTube is to go and make videos for search. The whole idea of search is you make a video and it targets one problem, and then you wait for someone to come along like a fish to the bait, and they type in the problem, and they go, oh, this person made a video about my problem. And then they watch this one video and they go, wow, that was amazing, take my money. It doesn't work like that. Google have made it very clear you need 7 hours of content to convert. So the problem with search is you're waiting for people to come. Also, search-based channels go after very specific search terms. What that means is they make one video about one problem, then another about another, then another about another. And as you'll find out later, this is an issue because people don't binge multiple different problems. And also, it takes a long time for videos to rank in search. You could be waiting 3 months. And what that means is, if you want to get a message out, you don't wait 3 months. Also, search-based channels get subscribers, not return viewers. If you want to build a business and a community and something that makes a hell of a lot of money, you need hot fans that come back all the time. Search does not do that. But I am going to show you how to dominate the homepage, how to get recommended, how to make a video so that you can get thousands of views in the first week and then build a huge business off the back of it and pull you away of this outdated advice. And it's crazy. This is Steve. He emailed me recently to say that I was right. He was skeptical. He'd been taught, he paid someone to teach him the search-based method, and his top performing video ever was like 1,800 views. He did my method and got 7,000 views in the first 5 days. It's night and day. So basically, you're going to build a product and a service and a YouTube following that is going to feed that business clients. And it's going to do it in a way that search could never do. Okay, so what's the first step of the blueprint to go from 0 to $1 million? Well, it has nothing to do with YouTube at all. It works like this. So I recently went to a mastermind event in Dubai. And in the morning, they said to us, what topic do you guys want to cover in the morning? They gave us a big list of things. And like 80% of people voted for mindset. And as the morning went on, it just became crystal clear that everyone has imposter syndrome. Everyone really struggles with time. Everyone struggles with procrastination. Everyone has self-doubt. And actually, the biggest battle is up here. So we need to fix that so that you can grow a channel, avoid all of these problems, and grow a business. So I'm going to tell you how to do it right now. Now, this is going to go a lot deeper than you would probably have seen in YouTube advice videos before. But this is what works, so I have to include it. So the first thing you need to do is this. I want you to tell yourself that in 1 year's time, you will have tried as hard as you possibly could have, but be okay with nothing happening or changing at all. If you can do that in your head, you're instantly setting yourself up for success. You're setting these expectations that you're just going to spend a year learning, going nowhere. Now, that's very unlikely to happen. You're going to get somewhere, but that's the first thing. And then you need to set the right time frame. So we're very good at underestimating what we can do in a long time frame, but overestimating a short one. So most people, what they do is they're like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I've never filmed, I've never edited before, I've never made a thumbnail, but in 3 months' time, I'm going to have a business and, I'm going to quit my job. That ain't going to happen. There's too much to learn. There's too much to get good at. So what you really need to do is go, I'm going to do this for 3 years, and I'll probably make no money in those 3 years. I'm going to focus on growing the following. The first year is going to be very tough. I'm going to keep going, but if you can do that, year 3 to 4 is where things change. So it's very, very common if you stick to this sort of system, and this is what happened to me. You start making a bit of money, you have your first 10k a month, and then like 2 months later, you're like, I'm making 40k a month now. What? And then suddenly you're doing 100k a month, and then you're doing 100 grand in a day. Like it compounds. But you have to stick with the annoying years. So that's the thing you really want to just say is, it's going to take me 3 years to get anywhere. The first year I'm getting nowhere. You'll probably beat that if you stick to this system, but that's how I would think. Now, I originally had a 10-year goal, and I assumed after 5 years things would change, and it really made all the difference. The next thing you need to do, you're not going to like. So it was a bit of a shock to me when I realized I had a massive ego. I thought, I'm better than these people in my niche. I can make better videos than them. I'm more knowledgeable than them. And I just wasn't. I don't know where I got this from. But it's very common. You look at people and you're like, I can do a better job. And this ego that we all have is killer. Not just because, well, it's telling us we're better than we are, but also because when people comment or attack us, our ego flares up and we feel like we have to defend ourselves. We also get jealousy. We look at the people and we're like, why are they growing faster than me? I'm better than them. You're not. If they're growing faster than you, it means they've figured out some of the things I'm going to show you. So the best thing is just to realize you have an ego. I have an anchor tattooed on my arm to remind me to stay grounded. It's very, very hard, especially when you blow up and everyone's telling you you're amazing. But if you can rein that ego in, your mind is going to be in a way better position. And the next thing for your head I really struggled with, and that is when I decided that I was going to try and be a YouTuber, I was at the pub with my friends and I said, guys, I'm starting a YouTube channel. And it was just like, silence. Like no one said a word. Back to talking, just ignored me. And I was like, like that hurt. Because I was so excited, right? It was like, this is cool. I thought they'd care. No one will really understand why you do this, why you want to do it. A lot of people will talk you out of it for a couple of reasons. Firstly, their own limiting beliefs and that they don't want you achieving a success. But also, they'll try and protect you from the evil of the internet. So it's really important that even if you have like a really supportive family like I do, they wouldn't really get it either. They wouldn't say anything negative, but they're not going to be like, great idea. They're just going to be like, oh, why? So what you need to do is you need to very quickly find people who get it. And that could be a forum, a Reddit, a Discord, the Twitter community on YouTube. Like you need to find people to help you and raise you up and share what worked and what didn't. Because no one else is going to care until you step out of an Aston Martin. I think that was the only time I started getting questions asked by people about what I did. They care a bit more when you find a level of success. Okay, so once we've sorted out your head, we need to do another thing that doesn't really involve YouTube. And I set some goals, but I'm not going to tell you to set a 10-year goal, a big, hairy, audacious goal. I'm going to tell you the goals that you need to set. And I'm going to give you the goals that will ultimately unlock a huge amount of success for you. So the first goal you need to have is make your videos so good people want to buy them. What that means is make a video that people get to the end of and they go, I can't believe I get this for free. And you'll know when this is happening because they'll literally write it. That is a sign that you're very good at YouTube, but also that you will grow a business that thrives. So I spoke about Simi and Dimitri earlier. When I first met Simi, it was just the way she talked to people, the way she put content together. I was like, this girl's going to be a hit. And it's the same with Dimitri. Like he submits an intro, I check it out. suddenly I'm 8 minutes into a drumming video. I'm like, what the heck? Why am I watching this? Because he's so good, got so good at making content. And again, he tells me he gets comments from people like, you're making the best stuff in the niche. So that's your first goal. Make videos so good people want to buy them. The next one, and I'm going to go a lot deeper in, and we pretty much build everything around this, is, well, let's experiment here. So I'm going to throw some names of influencers at you, or people who you might have heard of. And then I'm going to ask you a question afterwards. So I'm going to start with someone called Justin Welsh, Rian Doris, Sam Ovens, Alex Hormozy, Cody Sanchez, Matt Davella. So hopefully one of these people might have stuck out to you. The question I want to ask you is, what's the first word that comes to your mind when you hear their name? So for me, Justin Welsh, solopreneur. Matt Davella, minimalism. What is really, really important is that you set a goal of owning a word that becomes associated with your channel. If you can do that, you become the first person people think of when they have that problem. You make more money, you grow a channel, you build a stronger community, you win. And we'll look at how to do that in a bit. And then the next goal you need is you have to stay focused. So because of my job and helping people grow followings, I meet a lot of successful business owners who then want to spend a lot of money growing their following. And you see what they do and how they get success. And all of them do exactly the same thing. They just pick one thing and they focus on it intensely. And that should be your goal with YouTube too. So in the beginning, when you're trying to grow a channel, you don't need to do an Instagram. You don't need to repurpose and be on TikTok and everywhere, because it's just going to distract you from your primary goal, which is growing a YouTube channel. And YouTube's the best platform in the world, bar none, for building a hot community. It's the most profitable. It's where all the short form creators, they come to me, Ed, help me do it. I don't get many YouTube creators who are desperate to go on Instagram because they're just doing so well from YouTube. So stay focused on growing the channel. Once you've grown the channel and got to the position I'll show you later, you focus on the business, then you build the product, build the service, and you focus on driving people back. And that's where short form and other things come into play. But don't do that too early. Okay, the next step is going to help you get 5 times faster results, 10, 1,000 times, maybe a bit of an exaggeration. And it's really, really simple. It works like this. Let's say you need 100 points to grow a YouTube channel to a level where you can create an amazing business. And 1 hour a week working on your channel gives you 1 point. After 100 weeks, you've made it. So all you need to do is find 2 hours a week and you move at twice the speed and you get results faster. That's kind of it. But this is a bit of a weird thing, because I used to say this all the time. I don't have the time. I had a business. I was like, I want to have fun. I want to have a life. I don't want to live this weird existence where all I do is work. So I was like, what do I do? So I looked at my life and I was like, well, what do I do at night? Well, between 9 and 11, I was ignoring Netflix, going on Instagram, doing this. And I was like, well, that's maybe not the best use of my time. So I went to bed earlier and got up 2 hours earlier. And then I'd do that for 2 hours, go to work. And then I was kind of enjoying it. So after work, I'd be like, well, what am I going to do? Maybe just do a bit of YouTube. So I then replaced my doom scrolling with just sitting on the homepage scrolling. And I'm going to teach you how to do this later on. And you'll see why that's important. And then on the weekend, I was like, I could probably do a couple of hours Saturday morning. And I found 31 hours extra a week. And I didn't have any time. So there's likely you can find more. And if you're serious about this, the more time you have, the further you will get and the faster you will get. It's really not more complex than that. So now you've found the time, we move on to the 4th step of the blueprint. And this is a problem every single one of us has to deal with. And it's what makes YouTube incredibly hard. So it works like this. Imagine there was a big tech event and Apple released a calculator. And on the same day, NVIDIA released a AI supercomputer that anyone could have in their home. Which one's going to get more sales? It's NVIDIA, right? So when you come into YouTube, you are that calculator. You are going to enter a space where you are dealing with all of these highly skilled content creators. Some are professional, some are full-time, some are spending hundreds of thousands a month on their team to, optimize their content for the best results. And when you make a video, let's say it's on business, you're going up against Hormozy, Cody Sanchez, Simon Swibble, these big ones, right? And that means YouTube's going to go, which one do I push? Okay, Hormozy. We can't beat an AI supercomputer when we're just a calculator. So there's nothing wrong with this. What it means is we don't go after the big space because we can't compete. We look to find somewhere where we can. And actually, this is the best way to grow a YouTube channel, as you're going to find out in a minute. The way you do that is by asking, what word can I own? Like I told you earlier, one of your goals should be, you just try and find the space that you can become the expert on. And all that means is finding a problem that you solve within your niche and going all in on it. Shrey, who I showed you, who blew up earlier, he did this. And he did the work I'm going to kind of show you how to do. And it meant that he blew up very quick because he went in an area of the mobility space and positioned himself to solve a problem for a specific type of person where there was less supply and a lot of demand, we blow up. And now it's going to be harder to get in that space because he will be dominating it. And then Meadow. So Meadow started out with a channel about self-worth. It's very broad. It's kind of self-help. Started making videos about narcissism. Oh, look. And that was her expertise as well. So you don't just try and find a gap to blow up in that has nothing to do with expertise. You look at the problem you can solve, and then you work out how to position yourself in it so that you stick out and you can get more views. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So that is the key thing. The other way that you stick out from the competition is this triangle. So you have to differentiate. It always worries me when I see people with YouTube channels and they're just the same as the big channel. Same sort of thumbnail, same editing style. And it's like, well, you're just trying to copy them. Like, why would they go to the small channel who's copying the big one when they can have the big one? It doesn't work like that. So you need to find a way to differentiate. And this is really important. There's 3 ways you can do it. So the first point I call the wow factor. And this is what I did. The wow factor is a really good way to differentiate if you don't necessarily have tons of proof of result and that you're super, super duper credible, right? So when I was growing a YouTube channel, it was around video marketing originally. And I realized that there wasn't really any demand on YouTube. So I sort of, I'll go for the growth space. And I didn't have many growth experience really, other than ranking videos in search, which I'm telling you not to do now. So I looked at the niche and I was like, how do I compete against vidIQ and Think Media and all these huge guys been around for years? So I thought, what are they not doing? And after I watched their videos, I was like, oh, no one's being a YouTuber. They're making talking head videos. No one's making videos where they put loads of B-roll in and tell stories and get creative like people want to make videos on YouTube like. So I was like, I'll be that guy. And just absolutely changed everything. Like Trey here is another example of the wow factor. This is his first video. He sent it to me and I watched it and I was like, I'm gobsmacked. This is a guitar video. Like, what have you made? It's art. And he got 1 million views. And he went for wow factor. So the wow factor is tough because it means you create an experience, you go into story, you add loads of creative touches to your videos. And so it's tough, but it's a fantastic way to disrupt a niche. So if we look at Daniel Dalen, he probably did it in the business niche recently, where he just went to the opposite of everyone. Then we have what I call the expert's edge. So the expert's edge is not something that's obtainable to everyone, but it's where you're so experienced, you have so much credibility, you have so much proof of knowledge, and you're so good at explaining things, you can just talk to the camera and people are like, this person is the tits. So Hormozy did it. He came into the space, blew everyone away with, oh, I did this, I did that, I made loads of money, and everyone was like, great. Like, listen to this guy, right? It's hard to deny. So you want undeniable proof that you're this expert, and this often is not something you can fake. It will just come out of people because they're so good at explaining stuff and they've been doing it for years. They just know what to say. Doctors can harness this as well just by having doctors in their name. And Nisha blew up doing this. She put accountant explains in the title, which is like credibility, right? She then has an intro that sets up she was like an investment banker and explains things in a really simple way. She just feels like an expert and she doesn't have to do much. So that helps her stick out. And then we have the most obtainable, and I think the most overlooked and maybe the most powerful. So, to me, the greatest YouTuber of all time is not Mr. Beast. Obviously, he's a really fantastic accomplishment what he's done. But PewDiePie is the greatest. Because PewDiePie got to 100 million subscribers by simply chatting to a camera and being himself, which is nuts. No, not real fancy editing. He was just a magnetic guy. So this is why I call this area of the triangle the magnet. So what you need to do to become magnetic is actually pretty simple, and it's be likable to some people. Doesn't mean everyone has to like you. But how do you do that? Well, when I moved to Dubai, I started meeting viewers and clients, people that lived here. And before that, I'd basically just lived in a field and not really left the house or met anyone from my space. And they all kept saying the same thing. They're like, Ed, you're just like you are in your videos. I was like, really? Nah, I'm way more over the top. They were like, no, you're literally the same thing as the video. And I was like, well, I don't really know how to be anyone else. It's just me, right? And that's kind of it. If people like you in the real world, just be you. And what that means is not being perfect. I know this a long time ago. Like, just own up to things that you sucked at. If you are a bit of a nerd, if you're a bit awkward, that's okay. That's quite endearing. People like Elon Musk, right? And he's awkward as anything. Your little quirks can actually become things that make you more relatable. So the key is to not be this stale, professional, cardboard cutout version of yourself that you think people want. and just to be the thing that you are, and that will create magnetism. And it's very easy just saying, go and do that. It requires practice, and you also have to get over your insecurities and just be like, if they don't like me, they don't like me. And that gets easier after you've been trolled for ages and you don't die. So now knowing this, all you do is you draw out your triangle so that you lean more heavily into one corner. So you could go all in on trying to be more magnetic with your expert opinion, or you might turn around and go, I'm just going to go all out wow factor and try and keep people incredibly entertained and engaged. The key here is that one of these things needs to be more heavily weighted in your content, and that will help you to differentiate. So once we've figured out how we're going to do this, we then move on to the next step. And this kind of takes us back to this whole idea of owning a space, owning a word. And it works like this, right? So YouTube's kind of frustrating in how that it works. So let's say you're a channel and you decide you're a pain-solving channel. So you make a video about a headache and it blows up. How to solve a headache. There's 1 million views and you're like, wow. Next video goes out. How to cure a broken ankle. I know you don't cure them. And it gets like 10 views. They're like, what? No one came back. It's like, yeah, because the way that YouTube works is the first video people discover you from is kind of what they assume you are all about. So if they find a headache one, they're not going to watch your video that gets suggested to them about an ankle. They're not going to go on your channel and binge. So we need to position our channel to solve a very specific problem that has demand. And that is the thing that we will then own and make every single video about. And a lot of people don't understand this. They think it's just an idea to just like make loads of stuff and see what sticks. But it's like, no, you kind of need to be way more targeted on that. So I call this positioning. And it's very important that you get good at this, because if you do, you will also make a lot of money, as you'll find out later. So if you're looking at your channel and you're like, this is all over the place, I call them platypuses channels because it looks like they're made up of loads of different animals. You need to fix that. Then what you need to do is move on to the next step. So you're probably thinking, well, how do I know how to differentiate? How do I know how to position? How do I know if there's demand for the problem I want to solve? Well, remember earlier where I said how I sat on my sofa ignoring Netflix and I just sit there scrolling on my phone? I kept doing that, but instead what I did was at night, I would scroll just the YouTube homepage, like going up and down. And I do this for like 15 minutes a day, and I just wait until something stuck out to me, and I'd be like, oh, well, what's going on there? That got my attention. Now, ideally, it's something my viewers would want to watch too, and it's related to the problem I want to solve. But then I'd be like, how many views has that got? Oh, it's got way more than they usually have. So I kind of noted it down. It got my attention. It might be interested in my avatar. Eventually, after doing this for like every day for like months, I got to the point where I would come up with a video idea and I'd be like, right, I'm going to make that video, that title, use that thumbnail. And I just kind of knew what would work within my niche and how to position my videos so they got clicks. So the whole thing about research is what you're looking for is you're looking for patterns. You're looking for thumbnails, titles, and ideas that get views that you can then relate to your problem. And if you're not doing this, it doesn't work. Like, we can't just come up with an idea. Think of it this way. There's billions of videos on YouTube that didn't get any views and a tiny percent that did. That's because people guess. Really, you just find what people want and make that. Which brings us on to the next step, which is basically how you're going to turn this information that you've found into views. The most important part of this, and often the most overlooked, is attention. So they say attention is the most valuable commodity in the world now, because there's so many distractions. If you can get people's attention, you can build a community, you can build a business, you can sell. So what we need to do is create packaging, thumbnails and titles that get attention. The thing is, that's way easier said than done. So the key to getting attention works like this. Meadow, who I spoke about earlier, got insanely good at this. She would put a thumbnail and title in for feedback, and I'd look at it and be like, Meadow, why don't you use this word instead in the title? She's like, no, I used that word before, didn't perform. Okay, why don't you put this in the thumbnail? No, I used that before, it didn't perform. So she grew, and this is generally what happens, because by posting and positioning yourself against one problem, so you're not trying to solve too many things, you basically just end up with a list of things not to do. When you have a list of things not to do, it only leaves the things left that you should do. So then you just always come up with thumbnails and titles and ideas that are more clickable and get attention with your viewers so you can grow faster. And that's the name of the game of packaging. We package for the problem they know they have, the thing they're most interested in, and then we just keep doing that over and over again, so it always brings people back and they'll warm people up, we'll build a community. The next thing about thumbnails that's really important is you're probably not a photographer. You've probably not got 5 years of production experience. So trying to copy these like beautifully taken photos for thumbnails doesn't work. What you need to do is keep them simple. So I've got all my clients just using AI now, and we build thumbnails like this using them. And that's saved 5-6 years of photography experience to get into that level. So I'd highly recommend you do that. But otherwise, a high quality photo of you, some text, it's pretty much all you need. Do not overcomplicate them. The simpler, the better. And all you need to do is become a master of creating curiosity so you get attention and then drive people back to your channel that way. Now, I could go on for 4 hours on packaging. I'm going to leave it there because it really is just a bit of a beast. But just know, getting attention is the most important thing you can focus on because it unlocks the views. So once you come up with your thumbnail and title, then what you do is you plan the video. Now, I'm going to give you something now for free that's incredibly valuable and is going to help make this a lot easier. And it works like this. So this video you can see on screen, got 1 per million views because I went on Hillier Smith's channel and I watched his top performing video and I was like, that was great. There's a few things I was like, you know what? I learned something new there. I've been editing for years, but I still learned something new. So I thought, that's good. So I was like, well, I'm going to make my own version of his video. So I took some of the things from it that I thought, well, that's great info. I made sure they're in my video. I added more of my own. But then I found a twist. So if we go back to the triangle, I thought, well, I got to get the wow factor into this. So Hayden's was, all of his stuff, very good. But I wanted to come up with a different spin. So I turned in a bit more of a story about how I re-edited Graham Stephan's first video, and I basically used all the things that I wanted to teach by re-editing his first video to show. And as a result, it did very well. So this is a technique known as skyscrapering. It's come from SEO. It's been around for years. The idea is you take something that already worked and then you build on it. Now, you do not copy. James Smith recently posted a video about someone who just basically ripped off his entire script. That is a no-go. And we're not looking to copy anything, really. We're just looking, okay, how did they structure it? What points did they make? How can I make that point in a different way? The goal is you watch those videos side by side and you have no real idea that you are that heavily inspired from it. How do you skyscraper? Well, the AI bot, download it below. You get the transcript, which will show you how to do, paste it in, highlight up to 200 comments, put that in. That is going to spit out what the video is about, the points they made, how they made them. It's then going to tell you what the comments liked, didn't like, and any gaps it thinks it missed, and also how you could make something that pleased the comments more. And then it's going to tell you how to structure your video. Now, don't just blindly follow it, but it should be very helpful. Then this next step is critical. This is the highest leverage skill you can learn. Get good at this now, and when you do launch your products, you'll make more money. You'll grow a social media following if you do go that way too. It's very, very, very important you get good at this. Because it's writing. Writing will make you get attention because you'll come up with better thumbnails and titles. You'll write better hooks so you can hold attention. You'll write better sales pages. You'll basically do everything you need to do better to make money and grow a following. So writing a script and turning that plan into a script is critical. Now, there's lots of different systems and processes of writing. Again, it's a whole course on its own. So I'm just going to say, the whole point of this video is to tell you the things you need to focus on, right, and get good at. This is one of them. Which moves us on to our next step. And before I show it to you, I just want to ask you a question. Have you noticed anything about this system yet? There's 10 steps, and we've not even got to filming. A lot of people are like, I'm going to grow a YouTube channel. Film, edit, post. Well, it's only 20% of the work. All the results, everything I've shown you come in absolutely everything. Even the mindset stuff, which to some of you might sound like mumbo jumbo. This is the most important stuff. The actual filming, not as important. The editing is important, but for a lot of educators, not as important as the entertainment channels. So I've put produce, basically film and edit and post, into the same step here. And the first thing that you want to get right with filming, really the most important thing, is this. So my client sent me his first video the other day and I hit play on it. It was like Netflix quality, him talking to camera. I was like, this is beautiful. And I was just like, how did you learn that? He said, you told me. I was like, I definitely didn't teach you that. Like, it was better than what I would do. But the feeling I had inside the second I hit play was this guy knows his shit. And that is the thing about first impressions. Even if you don't know your shit, high production makes people think, okay, you're more credible. So some people, they can get away with straggly webcam videos because, going back to the triangle, they're very heavily leaned towards the credibility corner and it's instant the second they start talking. But I don't think you should be shooting on a webcam. You'll look cheap and no one wants cheap, right? Remember, your videos need to be so good people want to buy them. So don't go and spend $5,000 on a camera. If you can get one for $1,000 that's very good, like a Sony EV, and then spend $300 on a light, that would be great. If you don't have any money, just buy a big light. That's the most important thing. This will level up anything. A $5,000 camera with a crap light, it won't look good. So then just think about your set. I've been living in Airbnbs for the past 2 years. I don't really have anything that permanent. I do now, but I haven't really built a set. And at the moment, I'm just keeping it simple. And that's often what you need to do, right? Is just keep it simple. We don't want to be faffing around forever, but it needs to have a level of quality in it so people don't get put off. You then want to just get a mic. So sounds tough. I have this mic. only reason I have this mic is because I lived in Airbnbs, and I would have one above my head that you couldn't see otherwise, but I don't, because there was too much echo in Airbnbs, and this one close to your mouth avoids it. Otherwise, I would not have this. It's kind of annoying. So those are the key things to get right. Think about the first impression. And then when you editing, go and look at the top educators, top business channels. They're not doing a huge deal. So I'm constantly telling my clients, tell your editors to remove the random zoom in. Like, if you're going to use a zoom in effect, that needs to be to create tension, to make a point. It serves a purpose. It's not just there for a weird movement. It's the same with music. Pacing, all of these things in editing is complex, right? You use music to build an emotional connection, to change the pace of a video, to create a feeling. So if you're just randomly throwing it in, it doesn't do that with like a talking head video. So the best thing you can do is just get rid of as much stuff, keep it simple, talk to camera, use normal cuts, use text here and there just to back up points, and then use screenshots, and if you want, you can film some B-roll, but that's kind of it. The more you bolt on, the more advanced you try to be, the more areas you're going to screw up, and the worse your video is going to perform. It will make people feel icky. And then you basically just post your video. Now, I'm not going to tell you to do tags or any of this crap. You basically just put a title and then an end screen. There's probably other settings you can play with, but if I'm honest, that's all I've been doing for a while. There's a lot of channels do too. Okay, so you now know the most important things for growing a following on YouTube. Don't think I've missed anything out, but these are the areas to focus on. Just get really flipping good at. If you do what I've said, position yourself, own a space, keep hitting the same problem with your content, and focus on bringing people back and make videos so good people want to buy them, this next step, you're going to make a hell of a lot of money. But there's one more step, which basically will speed this up. And it's a word that I don't like. It's the C word, not that one. So most people say consistency is important. But I hate that word because it's not. What's important is practice. So practice is what makes you better. And consistency does that. But we don't say you need to be consistent on the guitar to get good. We say you need to practice. You need to practice piano. We don't, for some reason on YouTube, we say consistent. It doesn't quite have the same meaning. So you just want to create this system where it's like a circle. You create a video, you then analyze what happened, and you go, okay, it got less views than the last one. Is it because I used that word in the title, like I said Meadow did earlier? And you learn from it, and then you go, well, the next one, I won't use that word and see what happens. Repeat, create, analyze, learn, repeat. And you just do this over and over again. And you'll end up eventually with the to-don't list, like I just told you about, where you have all the things you shouldn't do to get clicks and get views. And via practice, you'll get better. You'll make the videos that hit the quality we need. After a year of doing this, or 18 months, everyone's kind of at different speeds. You'll probably be in a position where if you stuck to everything I've showed you, you're getting lots of views and you're starting to bring people back. So once you hit 1,000 views per video in the first 7 days consistently for say 3 or 4, then we're going to move on to the next step. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do something that's going to protect you if YouTube vanishes. It's going to make you more money. It's going to enable you to communicate more. It's going to enable you to warm up your viewers even more. And that is to simply start an email list where you will send them value. To show you how powerful the email list is, I did a 300k week. Someone said to me, how much came from your videos you post? None. It came from 4 emails I sent because the email list is quick. You hit it with a bit of promotion and you can make money. I'm not spamming it and I'm not putting tons of promotion out, but it's all about building more value. So you set up a simple page with a headline and a sub-headline that says basically the value you're going to give and the problem you're going to solve, and a form, and you do nothing else. You're going to hear different advice on this, but I don't think you should email it until you're hitting like 300 people on that list. What you then do is you switch focus to just making sure all your videos have got that link below and you're driving people to the list to get to that 300 as soon as you can. The reason I don't think you should bother emailing before 300 is because you've got to build up these skills. It's going to be tougher to focus on email and YouTube at the same time when you're still not that good at YouTube yet. You know, you're still getting 1,000 views per video. There's a lot of improvement. We don't want to pull your focus away too soon. So build it and then go back to just pushing people to it. And then when you got 300 on it, send 1 a month. And the goal of your email is simple. I gave you a goal for video. I'm going to give you the same sort of goal for email. You want to write emails so good, you have the niche leading email. Something that people can't wait to get. Something that every Monday morning they have a coffee whilst they read. It becomes part of their habit. And if you can do that, you'll create even more raving fans and you'll get more sales. So that's kind of the goal for email. So start off just emailing it once a month. We can't do once a week because you're going to be too slow and it's going to distract you from growing a following. Once you've got like 500 to 800, maybe step it up to 2 a week. Once you hit 1,000, go for 1 a week. The easiest way the easiest stuff to email is just email what you wish you'd known a few weeks before. So my email list, I find the best performing stuff, the stuff that gets the most replies. It's just, this went wrong for me, here's how I fixed it. I'm almost writing my emails to my past self. I'm just thinking, if I had this problem, these guys are going to have it too. And it's very easy to write them. And what we want to be doing is we want kind of 50% of our list to be opening, can go up and down. But if you can do that, it's going to make everything else easier. And it also means they value you. All right, so now we're at a stage where your email list is 1,000 people and you have 3,000 views per video in the first 7 days consistently for like 4 or 5. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work on the next step of the blueprint, which is just establishing, are we ready to make money? All right, so I'm going to tell you how to spot how hot your audience and ready to buy they are. And there's a few things. So 3,000 views per video is a bit of a benchmark. It's going to be different. Some niches might be very small, so that actually might not be obtainable. It's a general benchmark I give people. And 1,000 people on your email list, and you're emailing them, and you're getting about 50%-ish open rates each week. That's the first sign. The next sign is people start replying to your emails. That means that you're hitting the right notes. They highly value them. You don't have to get hundreds. Like a couple can make a big difference. The next thing to look at is your videos. If you get 8-10% like to view ratio in the first 24 hours, it's usually just your hot viewers going like. So if you're getting 3,000 views per video, you'll have a lot of likes. The next thing you'll notice is more comments. So the guys with the most devoted communities get the most comments in the first 24 hours, usually. And that means you've got fans. And this is really the important thing. And another sign is people just start emailing you saying, can I work with you? Like they'll be asking, like, do you have anything I can buy? So you might not hit all of these. You might only be hitting one. But if you're hitting them all, it's a sign that you're basically sitting on a gold mine. Then what you do is you make a call. So the longer you hold out, the more money you will make, the easier this will get. If you shoot too soon, it's harder because you'll split focus to the business. Your channel will take a temporary hit as you try and build something and your focus splits. And if you split focus and your channel slows down and then you've gone too early and your business doesn't work, you've hit 2 critical areas at once. So I often say to people, look, if you don't need the money right now, keep going with the following guide. You can get to 3,000 emails and 10,000 views per video. That's a very different position. It might not sound like the biggest leap, but it is. So that's up to you. Now, I tested this on people with 3,000 views, and actually, I didn't set an email requirement. And that was the results I talked about at the beginning, where they averaged sort of 10K. But a lot of them did have email lists. Generally, the ones that didn't made less, which makes sense because that's the best way to promote. So after that, you then move on to the next step. And it's kind of simple in that you just pick a product. So it's simple in theory, but actually you need to think a little bit deeper and go back to your goals. So the worst thing you can do, and this is really common, is build a business you hate that makes you a lot of money. If you're making a lot of money and you hate your life, it doesn't work. And a lot of people do this. They're like, so this is the important thing. Like we can't just chase the financial goal. You need a mission, really, something that's going to drive you. Like I get a massive kick out of seeing my clients win, more than my income going up. And you need to make sure it fits your lifestyle. Otherwise you burn out. So that might be, right, how much do I want to work? How much do I want to travel? That might mean I can't do calls, with clients. So I've got to factor that in. So you need to position your life so that you can look at the products and go, what are the pros and cons of this and which one fits my life best? But you probably don't know that yet, so you take a guess. Then you kind of want to look at what are the options? And this is what completely freaked me out. So my following was growing. I was like, I need to get something built, right? So I can make some money. And I went and researched all the OGs in my niche, like Tim Schmoyer and Dara Leaves and Nick Nim. And I was like, they're all doing different things. Like Nick Nim's selling affiliate stuff. Dara Leaves had a program. Like Tim Schmoyer had an agency. And I was like, well, what's the right one? What's the right one for me? Surely I was going to do the one everyone was doing because that's a sign, right? That it's the right one. So I hired Roberto Blake for an hour and I said, Roberto, this is my problem. He was like, well, just pick one. It's like, well, what if it's the wrong one? He was like, well, it won't be. They all work. Just pick the one that suits you. And I was like, well, I don't really know which one does suit me. So I thought, I'll just try them all. But there's quite a lot. And I did try them all. I've literally done everything apart from live events. So let's look at the product options that you can pick and the pros and cons. And I'll do it in the order that I did it because I recommend this order. First one was just putting a calendar up and saying, do you want to buy an hour's time with me and we have a chat? It's easy. I block out a day, smash these calls back to back, make sure you block some time in between. I did 8 hours in a row nonstop and couldn't go to the toilet. So don't do that. But it's good money. And, I started off charging $195 and ended up charging $3,000 an hour. And now I don't do them because it's not profitable for me, which is crazy, right? But that's the position you can get into. Then we have a low ticket product. So a low ticket product could be something like a $9.99 animation. And actually, I started selling these. I just thought, I wondered what would happen. I made 500 animations and went to build it. And I was like, I'm going to have to build 500 different sales pages on Shopify. This sucks. So I just sold them all for like a tenner. And it was a crap setup, but I put a lot of effort into them. I sold them. People started buying them. And I was quite small. And I was like, wow, people are supporting me. This is cool. My confidence is building. So then I was like, wow, let's start a workshop. Something small and simple. So a workshop's like a 90-minute live event. So I just picked a problem, which was thumbnails. And I put on an event on how to make better thumbnails. And I sent my email and bosh, $7,000 appeared in my account. So then after that, I thought, well, I'll build a bigger one. So I built a slightly bigger workshop and sold that for $149. And that made like $25K, I think, in the first month. That went on to make $140,000 just passively for the rest of its life. The other one made $50,000, $60,000 passively for the rest of its life because it's left it below videos. And then I was like, well, I need to build something bigger now. There's clearly demand. So I built a cohort. So a high ticket program. I think it started out at like 1,900. It was like a 10-week thing. You came into, you watched videos. There's a live call a week. We had a Discord chat and support. I thought, wow, I'll sell that now. And bosh, $60,000 appeared in my account. I was like, what is going on? And after that, I just thought, well, I'll let more people in. So each time I ran it, every quarter, I just let a few more people in. So it was now making 120 grand every time I did it. Now, in between this, I was still in this journey of like, is this the right option? Because it's quite time intensive. So I thought, well, I'm going to try a $1,000 product. And I'm going to create a course with like a feedback community. And push that. And that made like $500,000. So then I tried the product I told you about with the helping YouTubers make money and launched that. And I was like, holy crap, changing lives and making these YouTubers that much money fast was the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I was like, that's what I need. This is what I love doing. But it built a problem. I'm not a business expert. I'm a YouTube growth expert. So what do I do? So I shut everything down. And then I spent a year working on this product and to help people grow businesses and YouTube channels and create a system. And I launched that after a month of shutting down all my business, and 200 grand comes in the first month, and then $250,000 every month to the point where it hit 300 grand in a week. And that's kind of where we're at now. So although I don't think you should necessarily try everything, once you get into the position I've just told you, pretty much everything will work. You just need to decide, well, what is the thing that is best for me? Now, the high ticket thing that I do, it's for very serious people. There's 7 of us in there working a lot. I spent a very long time working on this. I consider it more like an education company than anything else. It's a lot of work, and it means I sacrifice things like weekends and evenings. You might not want to do that, and you do not want to build the business that is going to wreck you. And what you find is, like, Vanessa Lau had a similar model to me. She eventually went, this isn't for me. She made this amazing video about why and all the problems it comes with that no one ever really talks about. And then Matt Davella, similar sort of situation. He built a big business and he's scaled back a bit. And this is what happens. It's just this journey of discovery. So, but if I was to give you a roadmap, I'd say start with a one-to-one call if it suits. Build a low-ticket product first, because you'll need to build up the skills of building a sales page and understanding how to use email to market. And then after that, build something bigger. But run it once as a cohort, like a 10-week thing. And at the end, go, do I want to do more of this? And you basically don't want to spend months building like tons of content. You do it live. So each week you do a live call where you teach, and then the next week you do something else, and you basically work out where all the bottlenecks are. But at the end, you have to make the call, is this for me? You might run it again and again, and eventually you have this on-demand program with tons of support. So if you want to make $1 million from YouTube, the easiest way is to do it from high ticket, because if you want to make $1 million, you sell something for $5,000, you sell 200. If you sell something for $249, you have to sell 4,000. And what that means is, well, if you're only getting 3,000 views per video or 3,000 people in your email list, it's going to take a long time for you to hit that 4,000 to make the money. So you got to weigh up income and lifestyle. Anyway, once you have made that choice, build the promotion first. This is the most important thing. And it's exactly the same as YouTube. YouTube business is no different. So you come up with the sales page, a headline and a sub-headline that promises a result of some kind, because you need to make your packaging appealing. So people go, that's the problem I have. I want that. Then you build the product after to work out that hits all of those big claims. So when I tried my experiment on these 40 YouTubers, my offer was, if you don't make all your money back in 30 days, I'll pay you back. They couldn't lose. And then I was like, crap, how am I going to do that? So I came up with these plans, I came up with AI, I came up with, literally did half of the work for them by writing out all the emails and just saying, like, change these words for yourself. And it worked. So if you do it that way, it enables you to build a bigger product and come up with better marketing. And that requires you to get very good at copywriting and the art of creating an offer. Now, at this stage, you should have an email list. So all you do is you email them and say, I've got the offer, here it is, in a far more eloquent way, and they will click it and buy it. Now, it's wise to send hype emails running up to it and to build a wait list and do pre-sale and lots of other things that are probably too deep to go into right now in this video. But in its simplest form, that is all you have to do. When I sold out my first cohort, we did 60K in the first month, I literally just sent a few emails to my list. And because I'd spent so long obsessing over making my videos so good I wanted to buy, trying to make my email as valuable as possible, they bought it. And after that, it never ended. The income just went up. But the final step of this whole thing, for me, is the most important and often the most overlooked. And that is, I don't like courses because you build it and leave it. And it's always going to be the crappiest thing you've ever built, the first version. Version 4, version 5, that's when it's going to get good. So to me, you want to be looking at optimizing your products and your service so they keep getting better and better and better. If you don't do that, you kind of just end up driving the views to something that's maybe not that good. And I think that's what gives courses in general a bad name. So the best thing to do is try and get feedback. I hired someone to interview a load of students. I spent a month doing it. I got a list, 5 top things they all found tough. And I was like, right, I'm just going to go fix them now. Shut down my product for 2 months because I couldn't focus on sales and doing that, and lost $500,000 in revenue. I'm glad I did, because 2 months later I'd rebuilt a massive chunk. Those problems have now started to vanish. I've got a better product, something that can do more. So I call it optimization. It's about working with the clients, working out what to fix, making a better product, getting more results, getting more testimonials, more proof. Everything else comes easier then, but also your channel will grow more, or you'll get better clients from your content because you'll know the problems that your clients have, and that's what your viewers have too. And that's what moves us on to what I call the promised land. This is the ultimate place for you to end up, where you basically have an offer that people want. You have a core community on YouTube. You're good at making content. Every time you post a video, you basically make money. And it turns YouTube into a completely different game. Trust me, nothing will give you a boot up the arse to make a video than making a video, money, making a video, money. Because you're like, well, if I don't make the video, I don't make the money. And if you have that attitude from day one, it will keep you moving faster. So this is how you go from $0 to $1 million on YouTube. Focus on those things. Use this as a guideline of where you need to level up. Look at these areas, look at these steps. What are the weakest ones? Focus there and get moving. And I hope it works out.